Having found the dimensions of the 1920s border, it's time to start preparing the soil for planting. There is an array of traditional and not so traditional tools available. We divide into 4 teams to test 4 different techniques, as explained by Marit Meyerstad, gardening teacher at Weyer, and Katharina Sjöberg from the University of Gothenburg: no dig, single dig, double dig, and the broad fork. We use a line to ensure we are all working to the correct dimensions, parallel to the stone wall, and begin the task of marking out the plot. First of all, the lines of the border are cut using an edging iron. We have both the half-moon version, common in the UK, and a Scandinavian edging iron that has a triangular shape and is particularly good for straight lines. The key is to keep one foot always glued to the blade to ensure a smooth line. Next, the turf is stripped off using a modern version of the traditional turfing iron. This has a forked blade which makes initiating the skimming movement much easier. The angle of the handle is key, allowing you to put a horizontal force behind without going too deep. Some historic texts describe a paper-thin layer of turf being removed. Ours was more like 2 to 3 centimetres, allowing a second pair of hands to roll the turf strip into a Swiss roll and lift into a barrow. The no-dig team now have the easiest job. The soil under the turf is not disturbed at all, just a good 10 centimetre layer of homemade compost is tipped and raked over the surface. Once we get a bit of rain, the worms will do the hard work, incorporating the compost into the soil and loosening it, making it ready for planting later in the season. This is essentially the method as extolled by Charles Dowding as being more sustainable, as no carbon is released into the atmosphere when the soil is turned over. Traditionally, single digging was done using a spade or fork depending on the texture of the soil. The soil was turned over to break it up, allow air in, and often incorporate organic matter at the same time. Double digging is a far more labour-intensive affair and very rarely recommended these days. A trench of soil the depth of a spade is dug out and put to one side. Then the bottom of the trench is dug out to another spade's depth and placed on the top of the previous layer, thus revealing the subsoil. Our soil was so dry this proved impossible, so a compromise was decided upon using a much more modern technique, the broad fork or grelinette, as demonstrated by Katharina Sjöberg, garden lecturer from the University of Gothenburg. Invented in France a few years ago, it is a really good way of loosening the soil before planting. The idea is that it aerates and reduces compaction without destroying soil structure. As our patch of ground had been used for many years as a volleyball court, with no organic matter added as grass mowings would have been removed from the site, this was very important, and although not the most elegant of techniques, we all agreed it was likely to have good results.